Hello everyone, I am Charlie Tolhurst and welcome to the Racing Line podcast live on YouTube tonight. Hello everybody and welcome hello guys, this is the Racing Line podcast with me Charlie Tolhurst. Hello everybody and welcome to the live stream tonight live on YouTube. Yes, the Racing Line podcast is officially here. Welcome everyone to a brand new motorsport podcast that I am going to be hosting every week here on YouTube alongside the Tonight Show podcast, where you'll find obviously some of the motorsport news that we also cover as well on there. But this podcast is going to be looking at lots of our motorsport, touring cars, some other series, 2 and 4 wheels, some UK series. It's going to be a much bigger podcast, and there will also be collaborations coming with some other motorsport content creators as well. We've got special episodes coming up over the series, so I hope you all enjoy them. We'll be starting off hopefully next week with Catherine Potter Racing. Will be one of the guests coming on the show hopefully next week. That's one of the guests I've got lined up potentially as well. So I am absolutely confident that this podcast will be good and successful for you guys to watch. This will be live on YouTube, and we're going to be covering all things motorsport. We're going to be doing some special episodes as well, focusing on racetracks, motorsport series. It's going to be a big podcast. And, motorsport is important. Motorsport's a big thing. And I want to say this now to anyone watching the podcast tonight. This podcast is about content creators a space. It's all about giving me a space as well because, motorsport is such a big passion of mine. And I want to give the news podcast, the big stories, the development. We'll do some fun here as well. Sorry, apologies for my laptop with this as well. So yeah, literally this podcast is going to be all about motorsport. It's going to be a friendly podcast. I want to make it, interactive as possible for you guys. And yes, this podcast is going to be all things motorsport, 2 and 4 wheels. We've got some great features on the show. And this week we have had a bumper weekend of motorsport. We're going to start off though with the Formula One action in Monaco as well. Now, obviously Formula One Monaco Grand Prix took place last weekend, and Andrea Kimi Antonelli won the race for Mercedes. It was over 2 hours long. We did have a red flag stoppage. Gabriel Bortoletto crashing out, of course. I think that was one of the reasons why that was caused. Also, Charles Leclerc and Lance Stroll both hit the barrier and he knows. But in the end, Andrea Kimi Antonelli winning 5. Mercedes have won all races so far this year, including with a new regulation change in 2026. Lewis Hamilton scored his second straight podium with a second place finish. Isaac Hadjar was third. There is questions about Pierre Gasly's penalty. I know that Alpine are lodging an appeal, and I believe the appeal was happening around, I think it was either 8 o'clock tonight or tomorrow night. There is an appeal being lodged about Alpine. They want Pierre Gasly's podium restated after a 5-second penalty was initially given for speeding in the. There has been some big questions about that penalty, whether it was done accurately or not. He's currently placed 7th, but that could change if all is changed. So at the moment, Hadjar is 3rd. Oscar Piastri was 4th. McLaren during a difficult day. Well, at least Piastri got a 4th place, but another disappointing race for Lando Norris. His second straight mechanical DNF. His second straight DNF with a battery-powered issue. It looks like Norris could be taking a grid penalty coming into Spain this weekend as more woes continue, but more on another world champion shortly. Arvid Lindblad puts his Canada disappointment behind him with a very strong showing for Racing Bulls, 5th and 6th for Racing Bulls there. Obviously, Gasly was 7th. Albon was 8th. His teammate Carlos Sainz was out after contact at Portier with Nico Hulkenberg, and also at the hairpin with Nico Hulkenberg and Portier as well got close with Franco Colapinto's Alpine. Should I say? Ocon was 9th, and then Fernando Alonso got Aston Martin a point in 10th, despite Alonso claiming that the 2026 cars are some of the worst he's ever driven and labelled F1's racing not pure since that turbo hybrid era of 2014. Yeah, Fernando Alonso's not happy with the current F1 era since turbo hybrid engines got introduced in 2014. And to be honest with you, I think I agree with Fernando. I've not been a fan of these 2026 cars at all. for some reason. Obviously, there was a couple of safety cars. We had retirements from Bottas, Behrman, Norris. Perez was obviously the last of the classified finishers. Leclerc, obviously, as I mentioned, crashed. And the big one there, Max Verstappen, lasting hardly about less than 300 meters, his Red Bull decided to pack up. Again, the first mechanical DNF for Verstappen since China. A horrible weekend for Max. Despite showing in qualifying a very strong result, close to the Mercedes. Just, again, the Red Bull engine still not proving to be very reliable. But yes, Max clearly still not happy with the new rules. And definitely, if it's true that he could get a Daytona 24-hour shot next year, could definitely be worth a look. But obviously, Kimi Antonelli now leads over 60 points. Obviously, the next Formula One is at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. That is the next F1 meeting. Obviously, Formula One will be racing. I believe they are racing at the next race this weekend, 14th of June on Sunday at Dock. Yes, weekend is the Barcelona Grand Prix, not the Spanish Grand Prix. It's now Madrid. Then obviously a couple of weeks after that, they then go to the Red Bull Ring, followed by the British Grand Prix a week after the Austrian Grand Prix at Silverstone, and we'll obviously do a British Grand Prix update as well near the time. I had a ticket, but I'm not going to be going due to obviously, just getting up to the track, and yes, it's not easy to get up to Silverstone when it's very busy. So yeah. Anyway, also as well, I'm going to now come on to the British Touring Car Championship. Now, that is the next part of the motorsport part of the show tonight. Yes, the British Touring Car Championship took place at Alton Park last weekend. This podcast will have a heavy focus on British touring cars. I don't really cover BTCC on my other show, so I thought I'd do it tonight and cover the British Touring Car Championship, which was at Alton Park. I am a huge BTCC fan. In fact, I attended a VIP back at Brands Indy in May with Power Max Racing. So yes, I can safely say that was a very enjoyable experience for me, being right up close to the action. But yes, it was a win for Dan Camish, who obviously won the qualifying race, took pole position in that on the Saturday, which I watched as well. But Dan Camish took the honours in race one and the race I watched before going to Speedfest on the Sunday for Brands Hatch. I'll come on to that in a minute. But yes, only won by 0.7 of a second in the end. It had a big gap from Josh Cook, who put on a great charge towards the end to finish less than a second behind. Tom Ingram was third for Team Virtue. Aaron Taylor-Smith with another impressive showing goes from his Brands Hatch race 2 win in the rain to take fourth place as well. Actually, I think I'm pretty sure Taylor-Smith might have actually won the race, but had a penalty. I think he had a 5-second penalty for we find the safety car. Aidan Moffat was fifth. A great result for Aidan Moffat. Power Max Racing have definitely improved in 2026. There is definite questions there. Power Max Racing definitely improved in 2026, for sure. As well. So yeah, it's a great result there for as well. So yeah, it's a great result for Aidan Moffat. Mikey Doble, his teammate, sixth. Fending off Ash Sutton, who unfortunately had contact at the start with Josh Cook. They had a bit of a coming together down at Cascades. And obviously Sutton dropped back to finish seventh. So definitely some points lost there in the championship. We had a good scrap with the Power Max drivers, and Mikey Doble doing his absolute best to fend off the charging Ford Napa Racing Ford Focus there. Then we come on to the other results of race one, which saw Tom Chilton finish in 8th. Chris Smiley was 9th for Restart Racing, and Daryl Dillon completed the top 10. A DNF for Lewis Selby, who went off 12 laps into the race. Adam Morgan, very, very unlucky for Adam Morgan, doing well in that race, was running quite high in the top 10. Sadly, Plato Racing's misfortunes continue in 2026. Dan Rowbottom was well off the pace again. But Morgan, much quicker than him throughout the weekend, just had another mechanical issue with the car because potentially there could have been some really good points on the table there for Plato Racing, but sadly all came come undone um, with that DNF. But yes, Lewis of that result as well. Then we obviously come on to the other races in the BTCC. We obviously had 2 other races. I've got to catch up on them too myself. But the other 2 races saw, with round 11, Ash Sutton claiming the victory in that one. Sutton won race 2 of the day at Alton Park, and that being round 11 of the season. And obviously, that was the race where some drivers had different strategies. Running on the soft Goodyear tyre, Sutton was able to weave his way from 7th field, eventually slipping by old adversary Tom Ingram and Dan Camish. In truth, Camish let Sutton by, knowing that his superior pace progressed. And he romped on to win by more than 19 seconds. 20 seconds in a touring car race is massive, if you ask me. Camish and Ingram performed admirably on the Goodyear hard tyre, not holding on 2nd place, but eventually pulled away from the chasing pack. Relegated Taylor Smith further down the order. Also, WSL's down as well. Napa Racing Osborne was late elevated 10th when Taylor Smith was handed a post-race penalty for an accident involving Tom Chilton. So there was a collision there, sadly, for Taylor Smith and Chilton. So that race was Sutton, Ingram, Camish, Dillion, Doble, Shedden. Taylor Smith, Collard was 8th, Patterson was 9th, Rainford was 10th, Osborne was 11th, and Chris Smiley was 12th. So all them drivers down to Chris Smiley were given the race. Was round 3. The race 3 of the day is always reverse grid race, for sure. And that race was won by Charles Rainford, who took the victory in race 3 of the day. Apologies, my internet has decided to cut out top. What is it with my first show? I have internet issues. Yes, guys, I do apologise with the internet. It's cut out here. Yes, guys, we're back now. I'm really sorry about that. Literally, I've had constant issues with my internet tonight, so I do apologise. Like I said, race 3 was won by Charles Rainford in the reverse grid race. He won that race ahead of the other drivers as well. Rainford obviously took the top spot in that one, and I just will confirm to you the podium drivers in that race, who's won it ahead of Ricky Collard, Tom Ingram, Dan Camish, Josh Cook, Dan Rowbottom, Chris Smiley, Dexter Patterson, Sutton, and Moffat. Obviously, Dexter Patterson won the Jack Sears Trophy for being the highest placed driver that didn't score a podium. And also, as well, what was interesting as well was that Tom Ingram finished all 3 races on the podium. So that now means his championship, the championship standings now see Ingram on 172 points. He's now closed a bit on Ash Sutton's lead, but Sutton's race 2 win still shows that he can extend his lead further. Dan Camish is now on 160, 12 points behind Tom Ingram. Charles Rainford's now 137 in 4th. Ricky Collard is still 5th, despite having 3 second places and 2 thirds. However, though, Collard isn't, unfortunately, according to what I've been reading up, not on a full season. And yes, the other results completed by De Leon, Doble, Cook, Shedden, and Moffat. The next BTCC race is at the end, towards the end of July, and that is at Thruxton Circuit. We're continuing to be live, guys, tonight. This is the Racing Line podcast with me, Charlie, live on YouTube. So yes, one more thing I do want to cover tonight before we head off is, of course, the NASCAR Euro Series. Last weekend, guys, in this little feature tonight, I attended the Brands Hatch Racing Circuit on Sunday for the NASCAR Euro Series, or aka Brands Hatch's American Speed Fest, as they call it. A great family fun event where members of the public can enjoy, families can enjoy motor racing. And obviously we had the headline. Obviously we had the NASCAR over in America, which took place at the Firekeepers Resort Casino 400 the other week as well. That race involved a massive crash for Christopher Bell and Chase Elliott in. But the Euro Series is NASCAR's European series, mostly on road courses. They do race on a lot of purpose-built racetracks, not really many ovals. And yes, there was an open and V8 GPs involved in that one. And in the main race, Vittorio Gorelli mastered the mixed weather conditions to win that race. Gorelli kept his head cool. The reigning V8 GP champion was declared the winner for the 3rd time this year in his number 24 Chevrolet Camaro. The Italian wasn't always fastest, but he kept his PK car foot where it needed to be for his 3rd victory of the year and settled after 29 laps of Brands Hatch as well. So a great result for him. Obviously, in the V8 GP class as well, there was certainly lots of results there as well. Obviously, these were in the open class as well. Vittorio Gorelli won the race on the NASCAR Cup Series there as well. Paul Jeffrey took pole as well. And yes, that was the action from Brands Hatch. We can't really get you much on the NASCAR Supercars. That was on V8 GP, by the way, and on the Open 2. Thomas Dombrowski. Actually, Thomas Dombrowski was on pole. Martin Dubek won the Open class for that one as well. There was 2 races, of course, at Brands. Very close finish, actually, as well. The Bernese V8s reminded me a lot of the, the Indy 500 finish, where that was really close. Yeah, the Bernese V8s was really, really close at Brands Hatch. I couldn't believe that with the photo finish in that one at Brands Hatch, for American Speed Fest. It was a very, very close finish between 2 drivers in that one for the win. But yes, the Bernese V8s at Brands Hatch saw a very, very close finish in the Sunday race. Plenty of action in that race. which certainly provided us with a lot of entertainment, for sure. I'm just getting the results up now from Bernie's V8s. Whilst we're here, it doesn't seem like we can find much on the website for Bernie's V8s, but we're just getting up the results now. But it was a very, very close race in the last meeting at Brands Hatch at American Speedfest. Obviously, they're back on the GP circuit later in the year for their final round. But yes, there was some great racing. There was lots of action, of course. Ford versus Chevy as well. Abby Eaton competed in that as well. She competed in the Ford versus Chevy one. Like I said, there was loads of entertainment. You also had a live stage with country music, some Lightning McQueen cars there as well. They were showing films. They had a movie there. They had wrestling. They had so much at the event. It was great, great family fun. A live stage full of great music artists and the DJ Johnny Rattlesnake. It's one of the best events on Brands Hatch's calendar. And like I said, Brands Hatch has got so many events coming up. Touring Car Rewind is coming up in August. We've got the London Historic Trophy coming up a week on Friday. That'll be on the Indy circuit, but also that weekend you get to see lots of great club racing. Classic car racing as well, in fact. Some iconic cars. And also this summer as well, we also have the iconic Brands Hatch Legends of Brands Hatch Super coming up as well. Some fantastic classic single-seater racing and some classic car racing to enjoy. I really enjoy going to classic car racing events. It's always fun. If you don't want to do it, it's much cheaper to go to Brands. They always provide some great classic car racing as well. That is it, guys, for the first episode of this. Thank you so much for watching. Apologies for the technical glitch. We had to do the episode. Now, I'll be back again next week for another episode. I won't be filming on this laptop. I'll be filming on the other one that I use for my other show. And crucially, next week, we hopefully will be doing my first collaboration. Hopefully, we're going to get Catherine on next week to do the first collaboration on the show, which we're very much looking forward to for episode 2. It's going to focus a lot on the British Touring Car Championship as well. We're going to give you a mid-season review of the British Touring Cars. And also, we're going to talk to you about some other news as well. And we'll also give you some great features as well on tips and tricks to attend the British Touring Car event. And also, as well, we're going to be talking about the rise of Abby Pullen as well. So plenty to stay tuned for, guys, on the Racing 9 podcast. We'll see you again next week for another edition of the show. Keep updated, guys, on the socials regarding the latest episodes. Thank you for watching and have a good